Let's talk about speed. Would you rather surf through a menu and possibly a submenu searching for a tool or option, or would you prefer to press a single key or combination to achieve the same result? Today I'm going to show you how to speed up your work even more by making custom keyboard shortcuts.
Keyboard shortcuts speed up our work by reducing navigation through several menus to a simple click of a button or a combination of buttons on the keyboard. So let's look at how to make them even faster. And in a previous tutorial, I discussed a little bit about my own personal keyboard shortcuts. And as I said, I use a 17-button mouse. If anybody's interested, it's the Razer Naga, and it can be found at razerzone.com. I only use my left hand on the keyboard. My right hand stays on my mouse at all times, and I mapped some of the shortcuts on my keyboard specifically straight to the mouse. So anything that's left on the right-hand side of the keyboard, most of that stuff is either mapped to the mouse or it's on the left-hand side of the keyboard now. First things first, go into either the window menu and select keyboard shortcuts and menus. Alternately, you can also find it down at the bottom of the edit menu. So click on keyboard shortcuts, and real quick, I just want to point out that keyboard shortcuts itself has a keyboard shortcut. Once you're in the keyboard shortcuts menu, you'll notice that there's a second drop-down menu where you can choose to select shortcuts for application menus, panel menus, or tools. The first thing I do is I'm in the application menu, and Control-Shift-I in Photoshop will invert your selection. So anything you select with the marquee tool, click M, the keyboard shortcut for marquee, Control-Shift-I or Command-Shift-I will now select the inverse. So if we create a new layer, which is Control-Shift-N, hit OK. Now I'm going to select the fill tool. Right now we have this center area selected, but if we undo that, Control-Shift-I, now we have the outside selected. Well, the problem with Control-Shift-I is it requires two hands to complete, or it requires one hand stretching all the way across the keyboard. Now again, as I said, my right hand never leaves the mouse. So I've swapped out Control-I. You come up here for the File menu, you'll notice there's Close. Well, I never really close a document by itself. I'll either close all or just shut Photoshop down and hit yes, yes, yes when it comes to do you want to save or not. So I don't even use Close, and if I do, I'll just come up and get it. So we'll drop down to the Edit menu, go back to Keyboard Shortcuts, and I'm going to switch Control-Shift-I to Control-W. All you do is you pick the Applications menu, select, and then drop over here to Inverse. Click on that, and I'm going to hit Control-W. Now it's going to tell me that it's already in use and will be removed from File Close if accepted. Hit Accept, and we're good. The bottom line when you're going through switching out keyboard shortcuts is you want to make everything that you use most often accessible to your keyboard. So if you find that you're not ever using Layer via Copy, well, you've just opened up Command-J or Control-J on the PC to any other keyboard shortcut that you'd like. There are a couple of tool shortcuts that will change or eliminate entirely if we scroll down. So when we open up the Tools panel, one of the things that you'll notice is that a couple of these tools have several of the same shortcut. All of the lasso tools, you can press L to get to the lasso tool. And the way that you do this is you press L, and then to get to cycle through to the next tool, you press Shift-L. Now, some of these tools you're not going to use. So if you cycle through, let's say for example, the lasso tools. I don't really ever use the magnetic lasso tool, so I can clear that out. And now when I cycle through, if I'm hitting Shift-L, all I have to do is hit it twice, and I can go back and forth between the lasso and the polygonal lasso. If we scroll down here a little bit more, I don't use the color sample tool. Some of these, like I said, these things are not necessarily things you're never going to use, but these are tools that you're only going to use once in a while. If we accept this, and then we hit OK, you'll find that when you drop down in the menu, all of your options are still there. It's just that now you can't use the keyboard shortcut to get to them, so when you need to use them, you just have to get to them by clicking on them in the tool menu. So if for some reason I needed the red eye tool, I just come into the menu and click the red eye tool, and then it's still of use to me. So ultimately all you have to remember is this. Any of the keyboard shortcuts that you're going to use frequently, put them close to your hand so you don't have to stretch across the keyboard, or so you don't have to do some crazy 4-button configuration to open up the tool or menu or whatever action that you're trying to complete. That's number one. Number two, minimize the number of tools that you have to cycle through. if you're not going to use them. Because like I said, even though when I'm cycling through hitting Control L right now, you never see the magnet tool is still in the menu. The magnetic lasso tool, excuse me. Moving forward, in order to optimize your workflow, keep track of the buttons that you use and the actions and the panels and the tools that you use the most. Write down a short list and then look and see where those keyboard shortcuts are located and move them around. This space is yours to use, so change it however you like. You can always reset it to its default. So that's all for now. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe below, and send any questions that you might have to requests@mahalo.com. Thanks for watching.